Hey guys, it's Caitlin and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, I am going to be giving you guys some book recommendations. I am so excited to do this video. If you don't know, I love reading. I actually just set up my brand new bookshelf today. I'll give you a little overview of it. But yeah, we got it like about a few days ago and I just set it up, so I thought this was like the perfect time to film my book video. I've been wanting to do this for so long and some of you guys have been requesting it and I've been posting stuff on my story about it. A lot of you guys are either readers too, or you like want to get into reading or get back into reading, so I'm super excited to help you guys with this. If you are on Book Talk, which is like book TikTok, you'll probably know a lot of these books because I get all my recommendations off Book Talk, so now I'm just gonna share them with you guys. But yeah, hopefully you get some new ones out of this video. Let's get started. Okay, so we're starting off with a bit of a basic one, but if you have not read it, you really should. And it is Divergent. It's by Veronica Roth, and it is a YA dystopian trilogy. So there's 3 books, and there's also a movie adaptation, which I feel like a lot of people have seen, and that kind of turns them away from the book. They're like, oh, I've already seen the movie, I don't need to see the book. But the book is so much better. I watched the movie like a week or 2 ago because it was like free on this thing for like a few days, so I like kind of watched the first one. I didn't watch all of them, but the first one, it was nothing like the books. There were like barely any similarities. It was just not that good in my opinion. I know there's like controversy over it. Some people love it, some people hate it, but yeah, the movie was just not it compared to this book, which if you have not seen the movie or read the book and you have no idea what this is about, but you might be interested in reading it, basically it is about this girl named Beatrice, or Triss is her nickname, and she lives in this world where it's like Chicago, but it's like a dystopian twist to it. So basically you get divided into factions based on your personality. So she lives in abnegation, which is all about selflessness and just being selfless. That's what selflessness is. But yeah, and then when you turn 16, there's this like ceremony where you choose a new faction or you can stay in your old one, and she decides to go to Dauntless, which is where all the brave, daring people go. So she has to train there. It's so good. The first book is way better than the second 2. The second 2 are okay. There's Insurgent and Allegiant, but this one's definitely the best. So start off with this, and if you want to, you can read the others. And there's also a book called 4, which is like from another character's perspective, like her like love interest dude. Yeah, I love 4. He is amazing. But yeah, this trilogy is really good, especially the first book, and I wouldn't recommend watching the movies before reading the books. If you already have, it's okay, you can still read it. But yeah, that is Divergent. Go read it now. It's really good and a great place to start off. Next one I do not have physically with me, but I'll pop up a picture on the screen. It is Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. This is a YA fantasy trilogy with a Netflix adaptation that just recently came out in April. So it's a Netflix show, which is really, really good. Better than the books, honestly, but there's another book by her that's like into the show too. We'll get into that later. Yeah, but you have to start out with Shadow and Bone. It's the first 3 books in the Grishaverse: the Shadow and Bone, Siege and Storm, and Ruin and Rising. But yeah, so Shadow and Bone is about this girl named Alina who is a map maker, and there's this thing called the Fold, which is like this pit of darkness kind of with these Volcra monsters in them, and there's the Darkling who's trying to destroy the Fold. So Alina is kind of like the chosen one, like Harry Potter vibes. She has like powers, and she is called the Sun Summoner. So she like summons light, and all this stuff happens. It's really the Shadow and Bone books, they're okay, but you need to read them to read, or you don't need to, but you really should. Some people say you don't have to, but if I read this book before reading Shadow and Bone, I'd be totally lost. And that is 6 of Crows, which I do have with me. I just dropped it. 6 of Crows, which is by Leigh Bardugo, also part of the Grishaverse, and it is a YA fantasy duology. So there's this book, and then there's Crooked Kingdom. So this book takes place in the same world as Shadow and Bone. So this one is told in multiple perspectives. So there's Kaz, Inej, Jesper, Nina, Matthias, and Wylan. Love them all. They are like the most lovable characters. But anyways, so 6 of Crows is about them all going on a little, not really little, it's kind of big, heist together. The characters are just amazing. There's so many like I love this book so much, and Crooked Kingdom made me cry. There's like lots of plot twists and stuff, but you really should read it. And then I would recommend reading Shadow and Bone first, and then you can read this and then watch the Netflix show, because the Netflix show is amazing and it captures all the characters really well. But yeah, so that is Six of Crows. I'm trying to figure out like what else to say. I didn't really give you much of what it's about, but basically just these 6 people that kind of all hate each other at first go on a heist together. It's really good and you should definitely read it. It's a little bit longer. It's like around 500 pages, 450. I don't know, the second one's a little bit longer, but yeah, it's so good. There's lots of cute little ships in it too. Like Inej and Kaz have my whole heart. But yeah, I really like it. And also, this has nothing to do with the story, but like, well, it kind of does, but the cover is so pretty. I do not like the Netflix sticker. Like, can we just cover that? But yeah, so that is Six of Crows and Shadow and Bone and the Grishaverse. There's also King of Scars and Rule of Wolves, but I'm not going to be talking about those because I'm just not. Yeah, but next is They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. I know, a very questionable title, but this is a young adult contemporary / kind of dystopian. So what this is about, I mean, you can sort of tell by the title, but basically this is like, it takes place in our world, but with like a dystopian twist to it. So in this world, you get a phone call the day that you're going to die, and they just say, you are going to die at some point within the next 24 hours. So these 2 boys, Rufus and Mateo, both get these calls. They're very different. They have no connection to each other. Mateo is like the super innocent, like lonely, sorry, that sounds really mean. I love Mateo. He's just this like boy who doesn't really have many friends, and he's just kind of like at his house all the time. And then there's Rufus, who is like a troublemaker. When we meet him, he's currently beating up his ex-girlfriend's new boyfriend, and he lives in like a foster home. So they're 2 totally separate people, but they both find out they're gonna die that day. Yeah, it's kind of dark. But then there's this app called the Last Friend app where you can go on and meet someone who's also gonna die that day to have one final adventure together. So these 2 boys meet through that app, and they come together to like, I think they say like live a lifetime in a day, which I think is a really cool concept, and it was executed really well. The cover, I just want to point out, I don't know if everyone like knows this or not, but the shadow is like death following them. I thought that was really cool when I found that out. I did not notice it at first, but yeah, so that is They Both Die at the End. I really, really liked this book. It was so good. I want to read more by this author, Adam Silvera. He does a lot of really cool books, and I really like this one. It's super quick to read, and it'll keep you entertained. And also, it is told in multi-perspective. So the main perspective are Rufus and Mateo, the 2 ones that are gonna die that day. And then there's a bunch of other like short chapters, like even just like a page or 2 of other people. Like there's some that are from their friends' point of views, their enemies, random people they pass on the street. It's really, really cool to see like all these different point of views and who's gonna die that day. It's just a really, really good book, and there's like, it's separated into like little sections. So yeah, I really like it in the end. So that is They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. You should definitely read this book. Sorry if the camera moved a little bit, it kind of shook and I had to like change the whole angle, but yeah, so the next one is my favorite, The Land of Stories by Chris Colfer. This is like a middle grade fantasy book series. There's 6 of them plus some spin-offs. You can see my whole Land of Stories shelf up here, but these are all the main books. You can't see all of them, but there's 6, including this one. Then there's like a spin-off series and some other extra ones right here. But the main series is 6 books, and they're not too long. Like, they might look like it, but it's pretty big print, and it's really fast-paced. But anyways, The Land of Stories, my all-time favorite series. I've been reading it and rereading it since I was like 10, and I just love it. It's so good. And basically what it is about is these in the first book, these 2 twins, they're like 12, I think, in the first one. It's like their 12th birthday or something. And their grandmother gives them this book for their 12th birthday. And Alex, one of the twins, there's Alex and Connor. Alex starts to notice some really weird stuff going on in the book. Like, it's making noises, and like it's just being really weird. Like, it's not acting like a book should. So she starts like throwing things in it, and they don't come out. Like, she'll throw something into the book and it like gets transported into the book. And then at one point she decides to go in the book and Connor sees her, so then he goes to get her and they both find themselves in this fairy tale world trapped in there with no way to get out until they meet Froggy, one of their friends. They meet him and he tells them about this quest called the wishing spell, where they can go around finding these little objects, kind of like a scavenger hunt, and then they'll be able to leave the world and go back home to their family. Also, I forgot to mention their like father recently passed away, so it's just them and their mom, and their grandma comes to see them sometimes. But yeah, there's that too. And so they have to go all over this big fairy tale world collecting the items for the wishing spell so they can go home. And they meet all sorts of characters, like all the fairy tale characters, like Goldilocks is in it. I love her in this book series. Red Riding Hood, Jack from like Jack and the Beanstalk, all the like princesses, like Sleeping Beauty, Cinderella. There's the Evil Queen and like Snow White. It's just so good. And then the rest of the series follows them on their adventures. There's like wars, there's battles, there's more like little quests like this that they go on with their friends. I love this series with my whole heart. It's so good, and it has some of my favorite fictional characters in it, and you should definitely read it at some point, even if you're like older than like middle grade, which I think is like 11, 12, 13, 14, I don't know, but you should still read it. It's really, really good, and I love it, and I will continue to reread it for the rest of my life. Okay, the next one you've probably heard of maybe not. It is The Selection by Kira Cass. It's a YA dystopian sort of fantasy romance book trilogy, so there's 3 of them, and the first one is The Selection, which is about this girl, America Singer. I really don't like her. Like, she makes me so mad. We're not going to get into that though. I know a lot of people hate her, but anyways, this is not about her. Actually, it kind of is. It's her book. But yeah, so there's America Singer, who is the girl on the cover, and she is chosen for The Selection, which is this competition. Everyone compares it to like The Bachelor, but royalty, which is definitely accurate. It's kind of like The Bachelor, the reality show, but they're royal, so they're all competing for the prince, which is Prince Maxon. Love him. And so there's 35 of them, including America, and they all have to compete to win this guy, but this guy, not like he's the prince of like, what's it called, Ilya, but there's a problem. She already has a boyfriend who's Aspen. Love triangle. Yeah, it's kind of like the Hunger Games, but no killing each other. But yeah, so that's what The Selection's about. It's really cool. It's really good. I love it. I just do not like the main character, but that's okay. Yeah, I do really love this series though. There's 3 of them, and then there's 2 other ones about like their daughter, but I haven't read those yet. But you should definitely read these. I gave them all like 4 stars. The last one was a 5 stars out of 5. I really liked it. It's called The One. So there's The Selection, The Elite, and The One. So yeah, The One is the best, but this one is really good too. But yeah, it's a really quick and fast pace. It's only about 300 pages, and you can get through it pretty quick. But next, I don't have it with me, a physical copy, but I'll put a picture up, is We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. It may sound familiar, again, book talk. It's a YA contemporary thriller, and so basically it's about this girl named Cadence. Is it Cadence? I think she was like Katie, but her name's Cadence, and every summer she goes to this private island that like belongs to her like grandfather or something, I don't know, but she has like a private island. A few summers ago there was this big accident that like she doesn't really remember anything. She has amnesia and all that, and you're trying to figure out, it's like a mystery. You're trying to figure out what happened and why everyone's acting so weird and just like what's going on. There's a huge plot twist at the end. I did not expect that. A lot of people, this one's really controversial. A lot of people say it's predictable and they hated it. They did not cry. And then other people are like, oh my gosh, I did not expect that. I sobbed. That's me. I literally cried. I did not expect that to happen. If you've read it, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, go read it and then you'll know what I'm talking about. It's just crazy. I read it like a month ago and I'm still thinking about it like so much. There's a huge mystery. I rated it 5 stars out of 5. Some people would disagree on that. Comment below if you've read it, or if you read it, come back to this video and let me know, or DM me what you think about it, because I'm really curious if you like it or you don't like it. Number 8 is Daughter of the Pirate King by Trisha Levenseller. This is a young adult fantasy, and it's about pirates, which is pretty cool. So Daughter of the Pirate King is about Alosa, the girl right here, and she is the daughter of the Pirate King, pretty self-explanatory from the title, and she purposely gets captured by enemy pirates because she wants to steal a map from their boat. And then she meets one of the captains, I think it's like one of the pirates, like the first mate, Raiden, and there's a little bit of enemies to lovers going on, so there's that. And she's just trying, she is a like, I love her. She's like the best main female protagonist. I literally love her. She's so cool. She does not let anyone tell her what to do. There's a second book called Daughter of the Siren Queen, which kind of gives away that she is also a siren. She's half siren and half human siren, so like mermaid sorta. But yeah, I really like this book. I rated it 5 stars, and you should totally read it. It's really good if you just want like a quick, fast-paced little like pirate fantasy romancy kind of book. And the characters are really lovable. Well, some of them. There's also like some kind of bad people in it, but the main characters are really likable and I love them. Oh, and I read it in like 2 days, so yeah, it's good. I'm sorry, I'm going like really slow. I kind of need to hurry this up. But next is Shatter Me by Tahira Mafi. This is a young adult dystopian series. There's 6 books. I've only read the first 2 and I'm currently on the 3rd one, so I'm just going to be talking about like the first one. But yeah, so this one is about Juliet, who the first line literally says, "I have been locked up for 264 days. So she has been in a cell for 264 days because she has every time she touches a person, like skin to skin contact, she kills them or she hurts them really badly. She like killed somebody, so they locked her up, and then this guy comes in named Adam, and I don't really know how to explain this book. It's interesting. It's a really good dystopian book. The cover's a little, I don't know how I feel about the cover. It's just an eye. It's a little creepy. Like, it's kind of staring at you guys right now. But yeah, so Juliet, she cannot touch anyone. She gets thrown into this cell and then eventually is brought to the house, or not house, like the quarters of this guy named Warner. We don't know his first name yet, but Warner, and he like wants to like use her as a weapon because there's like war going on, sort of. It's really hard to explain. You can pause it if you want to read the back. I'm doing a really bad job at explaining, but yeah, that is Shatter Me. So yeah, and then last but not least is another pretty basic one to end it off with, which is Princess Diaries. It's a 10-book series. I know it sounds kind of long and intimidating, but it's really not. The books are super short, and they're like written like as if it's like a diary. Obviously, this one's also a movie you guys have probably heard of. The books are like a middle grade contemporary series about Mia, who finds out she is the princess, or her dad is the prince, which makes her the princess of Genovia. I'm sure you guys know what this one's about. You probably either read it or seen the movies or heard about it, but it's really good. In case you haven't, that's basically it. She's the princess, so she has to deal with all these, each book is like a different sort of problems and stuff. That sounds really weird, but yeah, just her going through high school. She's a freshman in high school. I've read the first 4 books so far, and they're really good. Yeah, like I said, there's 10. I have my whole Princess Diaries shelf, and there's the spin-off series about her like sister. So yeah, I love them. I love how like, this has nothing to do with it, but I love how the spines go well together and they match. But yeah, so Princess Diaries, definitely recommend. Those are all the books I'm going to be talking about. If you guys like this video, I can totally do a part 2. I have lots more book recommendations for you guys. I've been reading so much lately, and now it's summer, so I have a lot of free time to read. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, because I would love to make more book content in the future. But that is up to you guys, so give this video a thumbs up and leave a comment if you would be interested in that. But yeah, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!